G'day and good afternoon from me, George, here with a message of hope for today on the 16th of May 2026. And I'll begin by telling you about Emily Potter, who is a mother of 3 from Victoria. Now, she's been living with her children in a single room at a friend's place. Believe it or not, it's not a house, but it's a flat. And there's one room all crammed in, all 3 children plus her. Now, I remember when I grew up overseas, before I came to Australia, there were 5 of us. My 2 sisters, mum and dad, and myself lived, we'll call it a house in those days, but it was just one room. I reckon it was easily less than 20 square meters. So we could cram in there. Unbelievable, right? Anyway, Emily applied for more than 100 rentals. That's 100 applications she did. And they were all knocked back every single time for whatever reason. So she did what she could. And later on, she was in a position to serve as a homeline, so good on her. Which meant she had the income to make the repayments. However, she was only $3,000 short of clearing the deposit she needed. That's right, I said $3,000 standing between her family and a front door they could call their own. Now that would be a great feeling. So she's got a problem, so she needs to find a solution, right? This is what she did. She put up a GoFundMe page. And the internet decided what kind of person she was within 30 seconds. Woo! Someone wrote in a comment, no hate, but you expect people to donate to you so you can buy a house? And another comment that says, I might as well start one so I can go on a holiday to Greece. I tell you, people can be cruel. And that's the story, right? And here's the thing underneath it that I have an opinion about. I'll give you my opinion. Here it is. I think there is something in us, and I do mean all of us, that sees the service of someone else's financial decision and then reaches a verdict, a decision, before we've asked a single question. Yep. We all have biasness. Now, I know this because I've been on the receiving end of it. Yeah, but nothing like Emily's situation, right? But definitely considerably smaller stakes. I worked at a bank for a time, and like most Australian offices, there was a footy tipping competition running, right, during the footy season. Now, I said I wasn't joining because I value where my money went. I didn't see the point in throwing it at a pool for something I had no interest in, for I do love the footy, okay? Now, a colleague, and I can still remember her expression, made it very clear she thought I was cheap. Now, I can't remember exactly what she said, but the implication sat there, unmistakable. Yep. I genuinely didn't care what she thought of me. Who cares? But here's what I thought about since. I was in a position where I didn't have to care, which is now. My housing wasn't at risk, and my options were intact. So her opinion of my footy tipping participation had no power over anything that actually mattered in life. You know what I'm talking about. And if I'm being honest, I've been on the other side of that too. Yes, I'm the evil one. I've looked at someone's situation and formed a view before I stopped long enough to actually see what was in front of me. So it wasn't behind a keyboard, but it was just an instinct that is the same one, because it moves fast and it feels like discernment when it probably isn't a discernment. Now, Emily didn't have the luxury of either position, did she? I don't think so. But yet, still people arrive with their verdict, their conclusion, from behind a screen with nothing at stake and nothing but everything to say. Yes, now before I go on, I would love it if you can be one of my subscribers. I've got 1 day to go at the end of tomorrow for my personal goal to hit 50 subscribers. Would you be kind enough and become a subscriber, like the video and share this far and wide? I appreciate your time and your effort. And put in your comment what kind of videos you want me to put on the next one too. I do read my comments. Now, have a listen to what the Apostle John writes in his first letter. You'll find it in chapter 3, verses 17 and 18. This is what he writes. But if anyone has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him? Little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. I want to see someone do both as well, in words and in deed. Okay. So we'll come back to the verse, in deed and in truth. Now he mentions closes his heart, because I think that's an interesting phrase for 2026. And because it doesn't look like cruelty to me, it just looks like a comment. 20 seconds just to type your comment, post it, and forgotten before the coffee goes cold. That's all it takes. Now I want the voice to be an honest objection because it deserves an honest answer, right? Someone might ask, hey, shouldn't Emily have managed her money better? Well, maybe. If she's in this position, didn't something go wrong somewhere? We don't know. We just can't judge on face value. Well, here's what Emily actually wrote on the page. She'd been working hard towards saving. She was in a position to purchase a home. She could service the repayments. Good for her. She figured buying was actually cheaper than renting in her situation. So, yes, she applied for over 100 rentals and been knocked back every single one. But in the end, she's still $3,000 short. That's why she went to Einstein Mo and discovered there's a solution to her problem. Now, that's not the story of someone who didn't try, is it? That's the story of someone who tried everything available and still found a door 1 inch short of open. Have you been in that situation before? You're so close, but you missed out. And here's something worth pausing on, really. I think this is factual. Australia's rental market right now, the vacancy rate, the number of people chasing each listing, rental listing, and an application process that can feel less than like renting a flat and more like applying for a job, you will never hear back from. It's just too much work for a lot of these agents as well, because the queue is so long. Yes, that's the world Emily was navigating. And it wasn't theoretical, it was her reality. Now, one of the comments that caught my attention said this: I may as well start a GoFundMe so I can go on holiday to Greece. Pretty cheeky if you ask me, right? I understand the instinct. It sounds natural. It's meant to draw a contrast, I think. But the comparison itself says something, doesn't it? This person used the word holiday. And that's not what Emily was asking for, was she? She was just asking for $3,000 so her children could stop sleeping in one room at a friend's house. What's wrong with that? Equating those two things takes a particular kind of not looking, I think. Now, I came across a video recently of a young man who collected old but working washing machines and fridges and was renting them out. To me, that's creativity, right? It's practical, very entrepreneurial. He was building something from what was available to him. Again, someone in the comments pointed out the appliance was second-hand, as though that settles something. Really? Well, hello. I'll be honest, my first feeling watching those comments wasn't charitable towards those critics. It was more like frustration, because what actually was the objection, really? That he found a problem and built a solution from what he had? Was it so wrong? I kept wondering what those critics were doing with their Tuesdays afternoons. Keyboard warriors, perhaps. The pattern is the same every time, because someone finds a way through and the comment section arrives. There's always objections, isn't it? Just words and typing on a keyboard they do. And that is at the heart of what John means by closing your heart. Because it's not that people are cruel, maybe not. It's that they look just enough to form an opinion, on a skin deep level, and not quite enough to understand what they're actually seeing. They see the GoFundMe page, good. But they don't see 100 rejection emails sitting in an inbox, do they? They see someone asking for help, and yet they don't see 3 children in one room. That's not what they see, I think. Now, my sister told me recently what her church does for people in the surrounding community who need food. Yeah. So it was a program, it wasn't a newsletter, nothing like that. It was just the church people with grocery and with the time showing up week after week for whoever comes through the door. Needy people. Yeah. Now I won't pretend I have a single dramatic story, but I thought for a while after I first read about Emily, some of the people I've seen come through the Soup Van, is a charity thing that I help out with. They were Emily's before anyone put a name to the story, weren't they? I'm sure they tried, some of the people. They felt exhausted from trying. Some of these people I can see, maybe they got a background in drug abuse. Who knows, right? Who knows? Who knows? Now, have a listen to that verse one more time. But if anyone has the world's goods and see his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him? So 2 responses were available the moment Emily's page went live, right? One took 20 seconds and cost the writer nothing, but the other took something real. So my friends, I want to ask you something directly. Not necessarily about Emily, but about the next person who comes across your path asking for help in a way that doesn't look the way you expect it to. Now, of course, you need sound judgment when people approach you. You've got to make some opinion, of course. But all things being equal, what does your response cost you? And what does it cost them when you close your heart? So the whole story, like I said, 100 applications, 1 room, 3 children and $3,000. Some people chose their keyboards. And here's what I'm reminded of. God didn't send a comment. No, He sent His Son who showed up, took on flesh and blood, and got involved at the cost of everything. He didn't do it from a distance, not from behind the screen, but He was right there in the middle of thick of things, right? So friends, whatever you have in your hands this week, whether it's money or time or skill or simply a door you could open for someone who's knocked on 100 others times and heard nothing back. What if this is the one that matters? Not in word or deed, not in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. Well, thanks again for being with me. I've enjoyed it so much. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Again, I'm going to encourage you, put in your comments what you like, what you don't like, of course. Not everybody likes me. I understand. So have a great night. Have a great day, whatever you're doing. I'll speak to you tomorrow. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.